Welcome to the Lucha Lounge. I'm your host, Steve DeMarco, and today is actually my Sunday fun day, and what a Sunday it's going to be. There is so much wrestling for me to watch. Not that I haven't seen a lot of wrestling over the past few weeks, or including last night, which I'll get into in a bit, but I have yet to see NXT TakeOver. I plan on seeing it a little bit later today. I also plan on catching SummerSlam. Probably catch that 24, WWE 24 on the evolution of women, of the women's division in WWE. So yeah, I've got a full plate of, and not to mention the latest episode of Reality Wrestling, which will be on in about an hour. So I will, I try to get through this because I want to catch the latest episode for those who get to catch it on the CW, 11 a.m. Sunday mornings, every Sunday morning. Man, I can't believe that I can say that. But for those that don't have the CW or aren't in the area, you definitely can catch them on YouTube the next day, kind of like how you can catch the Lucha Lounge sometime on Sunday, whenever it gets uploaded and put out there to the public. Or you can go to the Offshoots Network on Mondays and catch my latest episode in podcast or audio form. Much like you can catch on YouTube, you can catch the latest episode of Reality Wrestling, or go to realitywrestling.com for more details. I'm sure you'll get plenty of stuff there. I know our next show is September 10th. Be sure to check us out if you haven't come to a show. And why would you have missed Summer of Champions 3, which I'll get into in a moment. But if you're still kind of on the fence, come check out. On September 10th, I know it's going to be. It's going to be one hell of a show. Every show we put on, we just try to get bigger and better, and really we're on the journey now to Christmas Chaos, and man, talk about a historic night on the horizon for that one. Man, I cannot wait. But we'll get into Summer Champions in a moment. Let me think. So yeah, man, what a week. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other business stuff. No. As far as a guest, I'm not really sure what next week's going to be, or what the topic is. Honestly, I'm leaning towards kind of doing a recap of the week like I've been doing. Discuss TakeOver, discuss SummerSlam, probably discuss the Raw and the SmackDown, the Fallout, and my thoughts on how things went in WWE land. Maybe I'll break down that WWE special. Maybe I'll finally catch the Dean Ambrose Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. I have yet to catch that. So it might be that I talk a little bit of TNA. I don't know. That might be what my week is, and then start setting up guests for future episodes. I do have one potentially lined up, and I'm really excited about getting the chance to sit down with this person, but I'll talk about that towards the end, so you'll have to wait till the end of the video to kind of hear about potentially one of my next guests. Sorry, I'm still kind of in a haze over just the events of the last week. And not stuff that I really want to get into, some definite changes in my life, and you got to hope it's for the best, and you got to be, you want to lean towards that. You don't want to look at the negative of it. I don't really want to get into a whole lot of detail. I do apologize those that probably follow me on Facebook, or that probably know me as a friend, probably have a pretty firm idea of what I'm talking about. But honestly, it's just it is what it is. I just try to move forward kind of deal, and really just a real my probably on my off time, probably during even during my day, my mind's been on Summer of Champions 3 and kind of the build up and working with talent, getting to do sit downs with them. Really kind of assessing where we're at as a company, so on and so forth, and also, getting to work with production and whatnot. So, it's been all consuming with Summer of Champions. And before I get into that review, again, I do want to give a shout out to the Offshoots Network, Trey Mack and the fine folks with the Offshoots, whether it be Katie Lynn or my boys at Renegade Wrestling Radio, or Smack Christopher Hayden or Nigel Rabbit, whose show I've enjoyed being on. I'm really happy to be a part of that, that family, which includes like Carl Knight and many others who try to make that network what it is. And I know their goal is to try to get to 75,000 downloads by the end of the year, and hopefully, I'm a small part of that bigger cog. I'm just happy to be a part of it. So, go subscribe to their network. Again, it's wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get your audio entertainment for your ear holes, whether it be through Google Play or iTunes, or like me, I use Beyond Pod. That's my app of choice for it. Not a plug. That's just the app that I use, or Stitcher. I mean, there's a whole slew of ways that you can get it. I know that they put some episodes out there on YouTube, much like I put out these episodes. But you can rest assured that if you subscribe there every Monday, that's when the latest episode of the Lucha Lounge drops. And I mean, man, just chugging along, man, and I have enjoyed it. But again, it's great to have those fine folks and be a part of that. And also, go subscribe to my YouTube page if you get a chance, because it couldn't hurt. Who knows? Maybe 2017 becomes kind of more some exclusivity here or there. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But back to Summer Champions 3, man. Summer Champions 3. I mean, a historic week overall. And luckily, thanks to Time Hop and my memories on Facebook, it kind of reminds me of stuff. To think a year ago we were making that announcement. Booker T was making that announcement on Periscope. I got on Periscope. I have yet to have done a Periscope session. In a year, I've yet to do one. But I remember getting on Periscope specifically because I couldn't be there for the announcement, and the announcement of getting this 21,000 square foot building and it becoming the Performance Center for Reality Wrestling. Man, just and on right during that same announcement to announce that we would be debuting on the CW on CW 39, where Paul Bosch had his wrestling program, and just kind of to take to follow in those footsteps. And I know for Booker how big of a day that was for him, just to make that announcement, to know that that's where we had gotten to, and to look at a year later, and all the men and women and all the hours and the sweat and the tears and the blood that really came into making that building what it is, and to have Summer of Champions be on our own, in our own building, man. I know that when Christmas Chaos rolls around, as we make the climb to that's going to be a truly special night as well, and probably even more, bigger, greater significance because of, just the fact that, at least from a personal level, to have been part of that inaugural Christmas Chaos, and then to see where we've come from. I remember having a conversation with Book last night and going, man, we've come a long way from the Commerce Building. That Commerce Building was great and had some great memories, and I shared some great experiences with some people that are still friends of mine to this day. But to think of where we've come to be part of this performance center, and to have our own arena, and to be able to put on shows, and it to be kind of a multifaceted event type of thing, and to see what Booker and Sharmell have built, and to just be the smallest part of that, with my work in production, man. It's truly humbling, and I'm truly blessed to be a part of it. But yeah, I don't know, I know we really put a lot of work into the product ahead of time, as far as, again, me doing some sit downs, wanting to kind of create this project, that, to hear from the men and women. So I spent a lot of hours sitting down with talent, kind of asking them their thoughts and opinions of their place within the company, as well as thoughts on some of the talent, as well as their memories of Summer of Champions, because it was really going to be for Summer of Champions. But it was really interesting to hear a lot of their takes, and hopefully that footage comes out. I know Kevin has got a lot of work ahead of him, because I filmed quite a bit. But the show had a special feel. I mean, we had Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was in the building. Got the chance to sit down with him for a few moments, and man, just an honor to get to sit down with him and talk to him just really briefly. But to hear kind of what his take on things, as talent would come through the curtain, and if they would, he had no problem giving his opinions on such. And he has such a wealth of knowledge, has done so much in this industry, and it was just great to have him there. But you take that aside, I mean, this show was built and built up to be a really historic night, and it was quite the night. Now, the funny part for me is that even though the event happened, we haven't aired an episode yet. So I keep that in mind. Like, I'm not going to give spoilers. I'm going to give my impressions of the matches that I got to see, and I saw the vast majority of them. I think I caught glimpses of some of them, and I talked to some of the talent of those matches that I missed, and those were like the later matches as we got closer to the end of the event. But I don't really want to give a lot of spoilers, because again, we're going to air this on the CW. It's going to be on YouTube. So I'd much rather, wait for that to come out for people to enjoy it. Now, again, if you're on social media, there are plenty of people that were at the event that sent out pictures and congratulated people and whatnot. And I want to congratulate those that were successful at Summer Champions. Everyone who won a match at Summer Champions, man, congratulations. Unfortunately, I'm not going to bring up specifically who won, who lost. I will say it's an historic night, and not just because of Kurt Angle. I mean, just from top to bottom, that show had a little bit of something for everybody, and it was quite the day overall. The shows typically start at 7 p.m. I was there around 2, and I had already had a full day prior to even getting there. And then we had like a kids camp, and I think it was the final one of the summer, and thanks to all those that took part in the camp, the kids camp. I know that's just a great situation for kids, to get the opportunity to learn from some of the talent within reality wrestling, as well as Booker T, and have Sharmell around and have kind of a little bit of a performance for them. I thought was great. It got a little mic time, and it got a little some physicality, and it all in good fun. Just a great day overall. But I mean, it made for a long day, and then to have a meet and greet from 4 to 7, and while that's going on, on one side of the building, on the other side, me and Tyree and a few others are scrambling to get as much footage filmed as possible, because we really want to get as much in the can as we can, so that because we're filming throughout the week, throughout the month leading to the next show. We don't have a big long turnaround because the next show is September 10th. So yeah, it makes by the time, and then once the show's over, I'm still around trying to film stuff, and I'm usually one of the last people to leave. So it made for a long day, but a really worthwhile, man. I would not have traded it in for anything, because again, just to be part of something that I really feel strongly about. I feel it's truly a special promotion in all shapes, in all forms and facets, and I will get into that as we get through this review. But again, this won't have a lot of spoilers. I will try to keep it spoiler free. Because again, I want the audience to tune in and really get to enjoy what we put forth, and I believe anyone who watches our product will truly enjoy it. So yeah, and these are kind of in the order of, I have a run sheet. It's on my phone, because I get like, okay, and these are the promos we need, because I'm producing those and working with talent and whatnot. So I'm going basically off the run sheet. like the first match of the night that I have. Well, I think the first thing that happened was the fiesta. Gino had a fiesta, and rightfully so. I mean, he came off this victory against Marcellus Black. He defeated the undefeated and remained undefeated. I mean, I know Gino's been doing it for a while. I mean, I know he started at 14 and he's 20 now, but the poise that a guy that's really been in it about 6 years has shown is tremendous. And his run as champion has been something to behold. You know, I've really enjoyed what I've seen from him as a performer, not just in the ring but outside of the ring. And Marcellus, man, for a guy that honestly I think started in October. I want to say it was October is when he started. He might have started a little bit before that. But to see his transition, to see what he's become, to see it all kind of come together, man, it was something to behold. So rightfully so that Gino gets a fiesta, you know, and it took a turn, and Booker got involved, and it's always great to see Booker out there and really throwing his weight around, which I don't have a problem with. You know, it's his company, so I'm totally fine with it. But what a beginning to the show, and great way to kick it off. And then the first match was Jason against Terrell Tempo. I like Jason. You know, guy's been with us for a while. You know, he's new to the business, and but I really enjoy his energy. I really enjoy what he does out there. I really enjoy, really enjoy his quips backstage and whatnot. He's really a great kid, and I expect good things from him. You know, and I thought he had a great showing against Tempo. And Tempo continues to impress me. You know, for me, I see the athlete, and I think, man, he's got all the tools necessary. You know, the other side is getting his character across when the camera's just on him and it's just him. And that's some of the stuff that we're gonna work with. But I really enjoy his energy, his willingness to learn, and I know it can be tough. You know, I know when a camera's on you. I mean, for me, it's simple. You know, and part of why I do this is a way of just kind of workshopping, talking to a camera, kind of getting comfortable, and really just kind of treating it as it's just normal. But that's not the case for a lot of people. So I know it can be a work in progress, and it's just time to grow. I think once he gets both sides to work simpatico, he's going to be good. He's going to be great. And I think he's got a tremendous upside. And but his in-ring work is without question. He's got they're minute, if any, flaws. I don't really see a whole lot, but I know there's some that could probably see one thing or this. I didn't see anything. I really enjoyed his matchup with Jason, and good outing for both. Next you had, and I butcher this, the most interesting wrestler in the world, or the most interesting man in wrestling. It's a combination of that. I'm talking about Mitch Baxter, who really, like, if I was ever to return, like, he stole an idea. I think the villain actually really would have given me the idea. But wearing a fur coat in August in Texas, man, and a scarf. That's one thing, the scarf. But then, man. But I am truly a fan of it. Really like what I see, the mannerisms. I've told him, send us more footage and whatnot when he's not at the shows. He took on Kid Ransom, who was accompanied by Pride. Those two, battled it out and seemingly are on a path to work together. I believe they're friends. They're two guys that have been part of the company for a number of years, so they're, you know, these grizzled veterans at this point. It's crazy to think a guy named Kid Ransom is a grizzled vet, but yeah, that is what he is. And then you got Pride, who I have immense respect for. I have immense respect for both guys, especially their work behind the scenes. You know, that staging, man, you better thank Kid Ransom, because that's his brainchild a lot of times. So kudos, and I thought their matchup was pretty solid. I mean, they had to work under some unique circumstances. I'll only say that, but they did not skip a beat, and yeah, I was impressed with that one. And then next, at least on the run sheet, was Death Bear, one of my favorite tag teams out there. I just like them personally because Ryan Davidson's a good friend of mine. So you got the Bear component, and then Alex Reigns, I think, doing some of his best work with this duo. He's the death part of it, but together they formed the mighty Death Bear. And they took on the Cool. I say the Cool Kid. The coolest kid in the room, Cameron Cole and Bartek. Now, you know, it kind of goes without saying that a lot of people are familiar with Ruthless Ryan. A lot of people are familiar with Alex Reigns. And it goes without saying that I think, especially under the expert tutelage of one Stevie Ray, who was there, so you really felt like, oh man, you know, everything's stacked against the Cool. And what a, you know, this matchup kind of came out of what happened at one of the last tapings and one of the last episodes, which was this disqualification finish. I really enjoyed this match, you know, from start to finish. I thought, much like I enjoyed their last match, the Cool seems to have found their footing. I think back, especially sitting down with these guys prior Summer Champions, to really get the gist of Summer Champions 1, they're sitting, you know, they're trainees. And 2 years later, they're in this high-profile match, one of the main events of the show. So that's a lot of weight. It's amazing to see where Bartek's come, you know, I mean, from his debut as part of Legion, and to see what he could do once he was given the opportunity, and now to see what he's, you know, become, like, and just to have some of the conversations with him, you know, about a character and kind of developing it, and you know, kind of inspirations that I've found, you know, whether it be with Portlandia, the 90s are alive and well, but yeah, it was great to see those guys, and to see the work that Cameron's put in, and to see what he's become, man. A guy that seemingly was lost in the shuffle trying to find his way, and then to have that breakout feud with JJ Blake, and to transition to this. And man, I mean, the guy's put in the work in the gym. He's looking, you know, he is really putting in the work, and it really showed. I think both teams have great chemistry. I thought there was a lot of good chemistry in that match, and yeah, man, congrats to all involved, because you know, they really knocked it out the park. And it's always great to see Stevie Ray involved in any way, shape, or form. His punches alone, man, he will get you. So yeah, so that was, and I don't know how it's gonna all fail out. So we'll get on with the next. The next match was. Fatal 4-way for the Diamonds Division title, and you had Jada Keys, Ivory Robin, Kiera Hogan, and the champion Kylie Ray. And I liked the match for what it was. You know, I don't want to say for what it was, because in some respects that could diminish it in some people's eyes. I don't want to say that. You know, it was a title match. It was put front and center. And rightfully so. I think the women, you know, women's wrestling as a whole, you know, there's a new light being shined on it, and I believe the Diamonds Division are part of that revolution, that evolution of women's wrestling, because I really feel like the division's really strong. You know, when you've got newcomers like Jada Keys, who's very new to this, and you know, this being kind of her first few experiences and the growing pains with that, I thought she showcased herself well. Kiera Hogan, who I didn't know much about up until her debut, I've really been impressed by her work and her attitude and all that, and it's great for her to come in and make an impact, much like what Ivory Robbins done over the last few years, especially the last year. I mean, if you think about Summer Champions 2, to win the title in a triple threat and to hold it for a significant amount of time, and then to make way for Kylie Rae. And I've always been impressed with Kylie from her debut, even prior to that. I mean, getting to work with her, in promo class, character development sessions, see her growth and kind of see the layers that she's got. And Ivory and Kylie have been on my show, so it's great to see them work, and really great look by Ivory. I mean, once you see her, her new look, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. So yeah. And before I keep going, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Davidson, who's it's kind of a week of wrestling for him. I wish him the best of luck. I know he had left right after the show, I think, to go to Oklahoma, and then he was off to the Harley race camp, and man, I wish him the best of luck, man. Bro, I hope you knock it out of the park. I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to. Another guy who's been on my show, so wanted to give him a quick shout out. Now, what was up next for me was the match that I was really highly anticipating, and that's Bryan Keith trying to reclaim his television title in a last man standing match against Rex Andrews, the champion. One of the scariest individuals in any locker room. Seems so mild-mannered, but once he gets in that ring, man, he's a beast of the highest order. This has been a matchup that has been brewing for months. I mean, you have Bryan Keith, who had a historic run as television champion, and to think that kid, maybe a decade before, was at Christmas Chaos 1 in the stands, I think, watching the show, and then telling Booker, hey man, I'm going to be on your roster wrestling for you at some point. And to see that he became the television champion and the bounty hunter of the row, all of that, I was really impressed, man. And I've always been impressed with Rex. I know me and Rex have maybe mixed it up maybe a couple times here or there, and I know there was one incident where I truly battled, like I was battling a stomach flu, and that guy took great care of me, and the fans would have not have been the wiser. But Rex is, as I mentioned, scary individual, came in with and just wins matches. He just has a singular focus to take titles and take bones and take wins, and this match was not for the faint of heart. I mean, last man standing match, that is a lot to really kind of to live up to. I mean, you've built this thing. You've built this feud. Two men have built this thing. I was there for their sit down with Matt Topolsky, which will air, and you could feel the tension between those two. I mean, there's a lot of respect between those two guys. You know that probably when the cameras aren't rolling, that those two guys have immense respect for each other, because you have to have respect for each other. You go to war like that. You go to war like that often enough, there's a certain level of respect. But at the same time, it's a competition. You know that you're trying to exhibit your dominance, and these two guys, man, a battle of wills, a hard-hitting match. It had, potential controversy, but there was no controversy at the end of it, and kudos to those guys, because they really lived up to potentially was, the match that the show was built on. You could say about other matches, but that, I think, was the match that the show was built on. And rightfully so, man. And kudos to those guys. Now, next one was Sean Studd. He was making a statement. I can't remember his opponent, and I feel so horrible for that. I feel exceptionally horrible for that, because I should remember it, but we don't even have it. I don't even have it on the run sheet. I will say his opponent, kudos for him to step up and take the opportunity. But honestly, Sean continues to impress. I like what I've seen. I like the maturation of him. and where he's going with this, and potential of where he could potentially go with the character. Being a second generation performer, especially a Hall of Famer, being the son of someone of that caliber, I know it can be daunting, but I think he really held his own. So yeah. Next was Aiden Cristiano and Jonathan Vega, against Mascara Pupura. I hope I'm saying that right. I probably butchered it. My apologies. And Cyrus. Some build-up. I mean, Aiden and Vega with Villarreal, they're part of this La Familia, and they are really putting over the idea of their heritage and their bloodline and coming together as a people and all that. And they have a little bit of issues with Mascara. Mascara brought in another luchador, and I thought the matchup was solid. It was a good matchup between showed some great style, some high flying action and whatnot. So kudos to those guys. I will spoil this one only slightly. This next match. It was Gustavo Mendoza, with X and Rubio in tow, taking on the returning Rob Barnes. Now, Rob and Gustavo have both been on my show, so that goes without saying. Much like Vega's been on my show. Anyway, but Rob was returning, and we've had some great, one-on-one conversations, on camera, off camera, discussing what he was going through. As a guy that's dealt with something similar, I felt for the guy. Just being really unsure of what the future held. And really, some big life choices that he had to make. And to want to return to the ring, I totally understand it. But you're always kind of concerned, for a talent that's coming back from such a big injury, coming back as quickly as he did. But he had a great showing. I will say that. I will give him that. Really showed himself, and I think performed admirably in front of the fans. And then the big kind of amazing thing was Kurt Angle coming out. There was some stuff that went on during that match that caused Kurt to come out, and I think the aura of Kurt Angle is what stopped, in essence, Team International in their tracks, because they basically, I think they quickly left the ring as soon as Kurt Angle's music played, and I don't blame them, because you see that stare from Kurt Angle, that like, man, I'm gonna mess you up. You probably need to get out of there, but. Yeah, real treat. I mean, you hear the crowd as soon as that music plays, and they played the WWE version, which was awesome. But yeah, it was great to see Rob back in action, getting to see Gustavo and Team International and whatnot. Next was Mysterious Q and Sean Studd. A match hyped up, but I will say not a whole lot to it. I don't want to go too much into it because I'm not really sure of all the particulars. I will say, man, I will say this, I hope, for speedy recovery for Q. And I think Studd really kind of showed a side to himself that's going to carry him a long way moving forward. I can only imagine what's going to happen for him. Next was Hendrix with Legion. At this point, I believe it's just Cedric and Gabriel. I think those are the only two. Because Sky's not been around for a bit. So you're wondering what's up with Legion, and Hendrix took on Hammer, who is sporting a similar look to others, but really feeling it's a war and trying to recruit. I think he's trying to recruit people to join him. I'm real curious to see what happens. And yeah, man, I really enjoyed that match. Gotta say, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed what came out of it. I can't wait for people to see it. And finally, JJ Blake took on E. Snow, and this had historic significance. I won't go into it. I have really been impressed. Yeah, I've really been impressed. Well, before I get into that, I will say this about Hendricks, man. I am tremendously impressed by what he does in the ring, as well as what he does, from a visual standpoint. What his promos and such, I think are phenomenal. And being there, behind the camera or behind the cameraman, it's always just amazing to see what this kid comes up with. And I can't wait to hear a Shawn Hendricks promo. So yeah, but back to JJ Blake and E. Snow. Blake, who's been on my show, much like Hammer's been on my show. Blake, man, great outing for him. I've really, since he's become JJ Blake, I've really enjoyed his work, and he's had a great steady climb as a performer, really finding his footing, but he had found his footing way before. It's just a matter of transitioning and figuring out what's going to work here at Reality Wrestling, and he's really shown that he's made it work. I'm a fan of his, and I'm also big fan of E. Snow, another guy who, like I mentioned with Tempo, great guy in the ring. In the ring, very few holes, if any. Graceful, very creative, so on and so forth. A lot of times it's finding that other side, being a top performer. It's one thing to be built like Brock Lesnar, where, well, maybe you don't necessarily need to talk, maybe that's not your best forte. Well, we'll put somebody with you. Well, with Reality Wrestling, that's not necessarily the case. You're going to have to really sink or swim on your own. And I've worked with E. Snow to try to find what's going to work best for him. I think he's doing his best mic work now, with some of those artist promos, for lack of a better term, where he's painting a picture and kind of showing you what he sees. I've really enjoyed his maturation as a performer outside the ring. And these two, man, they put on one hell of a show, man. One hell of an event, one hell of a match, because they were the main of this show. And I really think they showcased themselves well, and represented the company well, represented themselves well, and was a great end to a very historic night. And congratulations to both and their performances. And I can't wait for people to see the finished product, because I think it's going to be something to behold. We've got a lot of work still ahead of us to get everything filmed for these sets of tapings, these 4 episodes, and then getting ready for September 10th, which is our next television taping. And there's going to be plenty of work between now and then. It was great overall. I really was just happy to be a part of the event, just behind the scenes, getting to work with the talent, getting to see some of my ideas coming to fruition, getting to kind of get the most out of these people's personalities and getting the most out of them as a performer. Man, it's pretty awesome. Now, I want to say I mentioned, potentially a big guest, or someone that I'm very much excited to have on this show. And it's not going to happen right away. It's going to happen probably around Christmas Chaos, I think. So if you check all my episodes and you work towards that, then this is kind of like your Christmas gift come early. It'll be around Christmas Chaos. It'll probably be hopefully the week before. I'll sit down with him probably a couple of weeks before and air it the week of Christmas Chaos, because I think that'd be a great thing. I was not necessarily apprehensive. I knew that I always wanted to put him on, have him on my show. It's just a matter of how you broach the topic. Because again, I just, timing's everything. It's the same thing with some of the future guests that I'm going to have. I got to wait till the episode airs before I can really put them on. Whoever that I plan on having on the show. But I spoke to Booker. I spoke to him at length during the show as the show was going on. Giving him my thanks, for being able to be a part of this in any capacity, and talking about like where we've come from Commerce. So we had a pretty good conversation. In the midst of it, I did ask him, hey, would you be willing to be on my show? And without me even kind of going into the further pitch, he was like, yeah, man, just let me know when. And I told him probably around Christmas Chaos, around that time, because I think it would be great to do that. So yeah, I can't wait. Now it's probably going to be mainly about Booker T, the promoter, Booker T, the mentor, Booker T, the coach. We may talk some WWE, kind of like his career at that point. That would probably be my idea. But more than likely, we're going to talk about, to think that in December it'll be 10 years. It's crazy to think that. It's crazy to think that I've been living in Houston for a decade. Like that just to wrap my head around it, to where I was prior to coming to Houston. My thoughts of this town prior to moving here, and people, I always listen to older people who will say like it happens like that, and it literally happens like that. Because now it's 10 years later. All this stuff is 10 years. I'm thinking, man, I started my job, and oh wow, it's going to be 10 years in a month. It's going to be 10 years, and then in December, like I said, 10 years from that debut, in essence, debut show for PWA. And really getting to I really want to spend a lot of time just talking to him about the process too. What he looks for in talent, what he looks for, as the visionary of a guy running a show. From one guy who in essence was a visionary in my own right, with Uncut and IWE and some of the work that I'm doing with Reality Wrestling as producer, to Booker, being a guy that's King Booker, at one point, man, one of my favorite characters of all time, and then being a mentor, being a coach, being a guy truly giving back, and in the midst of our conversation last night, to think that he had a plan like this while in WCW. That little tidbit there was amazing to hear, that this is something that he's been wanting to do for that long, and that it's seemingly coming together. But at the same time, still we're on that climb. Like it is baby steps, it is crawling, but at the same time, we're getting to that destination. I can't wait. And there are other guys like, I've talked to Matt and Brad, the voices of Reality Wrestling, and we're just trying to hammer out a time to sit down, because it's tough to get two people to sit down, but to get three people and to kind of get their schedules to work together, it's definitely a humongous task. But hopefully we're going to get to do that. Show days are tough to even try to do any sit downs. I want to get Terrell Tempo on my show. He's only really here for the shows, and show days are tough for me. I know that there's potentially some talent that's coming to the shows. They're going to take part in the shows, and it's just a matter of getting with them and getting to sit down with them. And then there's other talent, again, that's time sensitive for me. Like I really want to wait. I want to have Cameron Cole and Keith Bartek. I may have them both on the show at the same time, but I want to wait till after their episode of Summer Champions airs, for a number of reasons, or to have E. Snow on my show. But again, waiting until after his episode. So that's like a month away, so on. But hopefully, pretty soon I'll have a few other guests. There's some people that I have in mind. It's like getting to sit down with Kevin Bernhardt once again, and let's talk about where we're at now. It's still like trying to work that schedule out, but hopefully that'll happen here pretty soon. Yeah, so September 10th, be sure to go check out Reality Wrestling. That's our next television taping. You will not be disappointed. We give our all. We try to put on the best product that we humanly can. And who knows? Who knows where I will be in the coming weeks? I may venture out again. I had a lot of fun at Hurricane Pro, just kind of sitting back and watching the show, and potentially what could potentially happen there, and getting to sit down with Danny Ramones. Let me think. If you, I will say this: if you hadn't checked out my sit down with Telly from Title Match, man, be sure to check that out. I was really intrigued by him and the process and what he's trying to do with Title Match. So be sure to go check that one out. But yeah, I'm not real sure what next week's going to be. It more than likely is going to be that recap that I mentioned. But I appreciate all of you that sit down and or are watching this or listening to this, whether you're watching this on YouTube when it finally uploads, or you're listening to it on your podcast app of choice, or you're watching it or listening to it from Facebook, or however you consume it. I appreciate the fact that you are consuming it, that you take the time out of your day to listen to me or watch me or whatever have you. I just appreciate all those that are supportive of what I'm trying to do with this, and give me comments. So even if when it's in person, it's really humbling to know that people are out there listening. Obviously I enjoy putting out the content. If I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't do it. I know I woke up this morning because I had meant to do the recap last night, but I was so exhausted. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm even going to be able to do it. So yeah, I really appreciate all those that take the time and that show their support. And hopefully, like I said, I plan on releasing an episode every week. When we get around to December, man, I cannot wait to sit down with Booker. But I really can't wait for the next episode. That's just the way I'm at it. Whether it's a recap or getting to sit down with someone and really share life in wrestling and how it all kind of works for them. Getting those candid conversations are they're just a whole lot of fun, man. I really am enjoying what I'm doing. Life is what it is, and I'm trying to make the most of it, and appreciate those that are taking a part of are part of that journey with me. I can't wait to see what the future holds. As I always like to say, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy. People, today you're all those because you sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed this latest episode of the Lucha Lounge. And until the next time, later!